Continue the program at this time. I'd like to ask Monica Gerhardt, Director of Policy and Communications at GNO Fair Housing, to please join me on stage. Monica is going to present 2 awards, the Mondale-Brooke Awards, and those are awarded to individuals who have made great strides in the field of fair housing in Louisiana. The award is named after 2 former United States senators who were the co-sponsors of the Fair Housing Act in Congress.
Thank you so much. As a policy person, I don't know which role, but legislative history is always really fascinating to me. And the history of the Fair Housing Act can tell us a lot about leadership. In the summer of 1965, Senator Mondale first addressed the U.S. Senate to urge colleagues to address housing segregation. Housing had become...
I'm not sure if I can yell loud enough
with this mic.
For those of you who haven't noticed, there's a young person sitting on my lungs. But, what?
I need the mic, okay. You know, housing had become one of the most sensitive areas of civil rights legislation, perceived as absolutely essential by some and an infringement on personal property rights by the vast majority. The following summer, in 1966, Senator Mondale attempted to pass a housing opportunity bill, but it never even proceeded to vote to be considered by the Senate. The next year, he introduced the Fair Housing Act of 1967, but the bill never made it out of committee. The following year, Senators Mondale and Brooke attempted to pass fair housing as an amendment to another piece of legislation, but again failed. Later in 1968, Senators Mondale and Brooke were finally able to pass the Fair Housing Act of 1968 as an amendment to the pending Civil Rights Bill, despite threats of filibuster and passionate floor speeches from opposing senators. The Civil Rights Act of 1968, including Title VIII, or the Fair Housing Act, had finally passed the Senate. For us at the Fair Housing Center, the staffing board of the Fair Housing Center, Senators Mondale and Brooke embody the spirit and the strength of tenacity, of the willingness to do what is unpopular in the interest of doing what's right. Senators Mondale and Brooke came back year after year after year to demonstrate hard work, moral aptitude, and most of all, leadership. And this year's recipients of the Mondale-Brooke Award, Fair Housing Leadership and Civic Participation, demonstrate just that. I'm not going to read you Senator Morell's bio, James Morell's bio. We heard from him earlier. And as I mentioned then, his bio is publicly available. But I would like to talk about his leadership style. Senator Morell is a true public servant, as well as a highly skilled legislative manager. His work demonstrates values-based leadership as well as complex analysis and understanding of the issues his constituents face. As many of you know, last year we worked very hard to pass a bill to increase housing protections for survivors of domestic violence. And the bill came to the committee where Senator Morell was then chair. And rather than just giving the bill its due, putting it on the hearing calendar because that's what committee chairs do, Senator Morell took up the legislation and helped to shepherd it through the entire process. So holding the opposition accountable for untrue or misleading statements in hearing committee, in helping his colleagues in the committee and also on the Senate floor understand exactly what was at stake. And he did all of this work primarily behind the scenes, working with other members of the Senate and garnering consensus despite the lack of spotlight on all of his work. So each time this bill came up, in committee, on the Senate floor, after it had gone to the House and came back to the Senate floor for concurrence, at each moment, Senator Morell was there as a champion, including navigating through some very contentious and very polarizing floor debates on the subject. Much of this was behind the scenes, as I just mentioned, and seemed to go unnoticed, and we wanted him to know that we noticed. That we're incredibly grateful for all of the times that you stood as champion for this legislation and for our clients and for survivors of domestic violence to ensure that perpetrators and not victims are held accountable for crimes. And thank you so much. We hope you'll come and accept this award.
I'll say it, let me be very brief because you got through a lot of speeches today. I sincerely appreciate the recognition today. Monica's completely on point. I think some of the most effective legislating you'll see is always behind the scenes, because sometimes when you're trying to change someone's mind like you are, when it's adversaries on the floor, it's much easier when you sit down or kneel down next to them and really give them kind of a context to the bill that's in front of them. And party affiliations aside, especially in the Senate where I work the most now, people want to do the right thing. And that's why when I talked about your advocacy earlier, when you show up and you put faces to the struggles that are going on in our communities, it makes these gentlemen, and very few of them, but gentlemen and women who want to do the right thing, it gives them that comfort that they are doing the right thing. So I appreciate the accolade, I appreciate the award, but I could not do this without the hard work of the Fair Housing Group. I just could not do it. Without your help out there as well. So thank you.
We have one more award today, one more Mondale-Brooke Award, and I'm so grateful to be standing here today to be able to give this award. Julie Baxter-Hare is a little bit of a hero of mine, and I'm so grateful that she's agreed to be here to accept this. I know that we're running behind on time, but elected officials are often in the spotlight. Sometimes they receive the attention they deserve for their efforts, and other times not. But the staff who do so much of the hard work behind the scenes almost never get the accolades, and it truly is Julie's work that has been transformative to ours. I worked for the first time with Julie, I think in 2012, when Senator Broome was sponsoring a foreclosure prevention bill, working with us, and the bill was assigned to a committee where she was counsel. And I'm not sure I've ever met anyone as hardworking, but also that understood as a legislative drafter how each little word was going to impact our clients and the community that we serve. And her willingness and patience to continually comb through and negotiate each and every syllable in order to get it absolutely right was absolutely astounding, and I'm still in awe. So even what I would consider a pretty uncontentious bill, who does not want to stop needless foreclosures, that turned out to be a steep climb as well, and we couldn't have done it without Julie's help. So without further ado, she's had an incredible impact on all of our work, and I hope that she'll come up and accept this award.
I just want to thank you all for this award. It means a lot to me. I know probably other folks say this, but I'll just say I was just doing my job. I really was. And it's a pleasure to be able to work with people like Monica and many other people who come to the Capitol and are really trying to do the right thing. And I think it's my pleasure now to be able to continue that kind of public service under the new administration of Governor John Bel Edwards. And didn't he give a great talk today? I was just so proud to be able to work in this administration. We really need your support, and I would just urge you, if you care about that kind of public service, please support the initiatives as it tries to stabilize the state over the next 4 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. Congratulations to our award recipients, Senator Morrell and Julie. Thank you so much. As we prepare to present our final 2 awards, I'd like to ask Elizabeth Owen, Legal Director at the Greater New Orleans Fair Housing Action Center, to join me on stage. So we're going to present 2 awards for courage. The purpose of this award is to honor clients of the Fair Housing Action Centers who have